Elentila Lumeno Mentielvo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Grab a drink and enjoy. Almia. Previously on Tolkien on Tap, have you ever wondered about Gil-galad's true parentage? What if I was to tell you he wasn't the son of a Noldorin prince at all? Let's explore these theories and many more tonight on Tolkien on Tap.
When I went out to get a refill on my drink, and I'm now drinking basic bitch Stella Rosa uh black wine. I'm switching it up. I went up and I was holding the whiteboard, and my mom's like, "Oh, how's your conspiracy talk going?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, and she saw that I had written Sindar, and she was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, we brought that up because he has silver hair, and the Sindar didn't typically have silver hair." And she's like, "Have you considered that he just dyed his hair?" Like, I was like, she has no idea what we're
wait,
talking
wait,
about, but I
wait,
thought that
wait,
was,
wait, wait,
I was like,
wait.
you know what, Mom, you're right.
Does your mom does she enjoy like any Tolkien stuff at all?
Okay, that my mom is a very lovely person. She watches Rings of Power with me and has no idea what's going on.
Oh, I was gonna say bring her in. Let's interview her too. That'd be fun.
If we ever tap her in, which I would love to, we can't cuss.
That's fair.
She's like she gets
No,
so
is
upset by cussing. She also can't she she can't even say the word sex. She has to spell it out. She's like, sex. She's
that's
very
fine.
funny. She's like
Hey,
a
as long as
Christian lady.
that's fine. As long as I know her or like her boundaries about like what she will and will
Oh.
not abide. That's fine.
Yeah.
I can
We'll
hang
have
with
to
that.
bring
That's
her
cool.
on at some point.
That would be
Yeah, that would be
fun.
really fun. Yeah, we
Yeah,
could explain to her different, yeah, things. But yeah, she
yeah.
watches Rings of Power with me. The
Nice.
other day I explained to her the Fëanorian Oath, and she was like, and like basically how like how it altered the trajectory of the Fëanorians. She was like, I have no idea what you just said. But yeah, so her like her addition to this is dyed hair, which, if we take
Nice.
Rings of Power into consideration, he has black hair in that portrayal,
Yeah. As
Mm,
well as in, I think
right.
most of them
and
I've
he
always
wears a
heard.
lot of gold. Make of
I
that
don't think
what
I've
you
ever
will.
seen a depiction of Gil-galad with silver hair like he's actually talked about in that one text.
Like
Yeah.
he's canonically, yeah, yeah. Um,
Because that's the other
there's
thing with the
also,
unfinished tales is that text similar to the text of like where it retcons Silperiquar's origins,
mm,
where like he's in Ondalunde
yeah, yeah,
and all
yeah,
that too. Because that's the other part is like we could be one of those things like is it silver hair? Is it black hair?
Yeah.
But I also like this because we're getting into that aspect of, you know, Pengaloth,
yeah.
Quendinoldo, and
Yeah.
like him collecting the pieces of evidence and weaving a
Putting
history
it together.
and all
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you think about like maybe other, like I was talking with Lee, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were talking about laws and customs and how it's like maybe not like we shouldn't see them as the universal like ways that elves are because it's written by Elfline, who is like
Mm-hmm.
a human whose like main like experiences with elves is through stories from his mom and also through going to Aman. So like he might know about maybe the culture of like the specific people of Aman that he met,
Yeah.
but not all elves.
Yeah.
So like all of the texts are written by different people, and not just Pendlew. But
which
yeah.
which makes it feel so much more realistic because when you like look at like all the changes in like history books from growing up and like, oh, it was actually this way, no, it's this way, oh, we
Hmm.
got new information, like that's one of the things I love about Tolkien so much. It just feels so real. And I've been listening to
Yeah.
a bunch of different podcasts. I listen to Prancing Pony stuff. I listen to Career Lodgings. I listen to Teaching with Magic, and just hearing the way everyone like experiences the different ways in which Tolkien presented his stuff. Like it just feels so real from the language
Mhm.
to the way that stories are compiled. It's just incredible. I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a sidetrack.
No, no, no.
Back
I
to
mean that
conspiracies.
I think that feeds into the because we have to consider the agendas of the writers, you know?
Yeah.
Does Pendelope have an anti-Fanorian bias? Does
There's
that,
there's
know,
that. There's also does the audience that he's collecting these accounts
that he's
from, do they
collecting
have it?
from?
Because that's the thing,
Yeah.
because Quindinoldo is, he himself is, he wasn't, and it kind of gets to the point of like, why are in the annals of Valinor or the annals of Beleriand and the Grey Annals, why do they constantly use the term Nalgrim if in the was it the Quendi and the Eldar we find out that it's a slur? And so I would argue that he's writing those accounts at two different times. And so he calls them Nalgrim because he's born in Ondolinde, never knew dwarves, never experienced dwarves before. And it's the Lestinorians who were fleeing Lestinore from its ruin that still have strong beef with the dwarves. And their common practice of using that that swore against dwarves, they tell him that, and they only refer to them as Nalgrim or like some other nerds. They don't tell him like that it's actually a slur, and he writes it down. And then in the Second Age, when he actually meets the dwarves from Moria, because that's when you first get the Quenya term for Khazad-dûm, he finds out, and that's where he writes the separate text that's outside of the annals of Valen or annals of Beleriand, annals of the Grey Annals.
Yeah.
All that to say that he's taking from all different sources, and so I think that's a valid part. Is like, who was he talking to and trying to create something?
What are you sipping on now, David?
I told you I got a beer.
Oh, you did. Oh, I missed that part. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. Oh, you might have been off. My bad. Yeah, it's,
no, it's all good. I've also imbibed a few libations, so that could be part of it.
I'm off
the
pony.
Which, the different people telling him the story could also explain, like, if we go with the like idea that this is a psyop and it's Gil-galad is like created essentially. He's real, but he's created. Then that would explain the conflicting stories told to him, because maybe they kind of like they couldn't remember the agreed upon story. Like sometimes when a lie is big enough, there's inconsistencies.
It could be that, or it could also be like going back to that me trying to recount like who was that figure in like real world history who kind of just stumbled upon being king. Maybe Artanaro is actually like just some random elf kind of found some treasure hoard and is like basically was the patron of Quindinoldo Pengoloth, and it was like, hey, can you let's
are you
make myself into
did we just make Gil-galad the Count of Monte Cristo?
Yes.
Alternatively,
he is on an island. He is on an island of Balrog.
Right. That's exactly why I brought that up.
But alternatively, if we're talking about patronage and money, we've discussed this over the last following days online. Who from Aman, who came to Middle Earth, had the most treasure and wealth?
Wait,
Finderato Ingoldo.
Or Carnisteer.
Finderato Ingoldo. Or Carnisteer. And either one would fit into either Paranthir Hala's love child.
Hey, Bree, I'm going to need you to take a drink. We mentioned my beloved.
Oh, fuck. You can drink wine out of anything, by the way. I'm a huge fan of drinking it out of mugs. Keeps it cool.
This is true.
Has a handle. And also it makes me look less strange.
I prefer it out of a can. That way I can gesture with my hands.
Like a Diet Coke can?
Yeah, Diet Coke can.
Diet Coke.
Thank you, Frank Reynolds. You're a genius.
Exactly. All right. So the most treasure out of there we go. All right, listen. This is about to be a very personal thing. You guys are saying Finderato or Carnisteer, but anytime I see you fucking make jokes about my boy on fucking threads,
but
it's with the goddamn treasure chest. It's never Carnisteer in the treasure
did not bring treasure over the ice.
He just stole it.
You just said who came over with so much treasure, and you said Finderato.
No, I meant who had the most wealth. Yeah.
Oh, he just stole it from the dwarves.
I meant to say Finderato, and then David was like, "There's also Carnisteer." And I was like, "Damn, you're right."
Then I misunderstood.
Mis-
I'm
However,
sorry. I was defending my boy prematurely when I should have just like listened.
counterpoint though, that he could also just be an like an elf of unknown like origins, just kind of like nobody elf.
Yeah.
Is that
No.
Or
remember, after the fall of Narcosta Rondo, the only thing that Húrin picks up and takes from there is the Nauglamir.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
Narcosta Rondo's left open. Could a random elf from
That is
the
true.
forest from below just kind of wander up, like, oh, I got a kingdom, I got wealth, and
Similar to the Count of Monte Cristo.
exactly my point.
Right.
Random ass
Yeah.
elf who,
And
and then actually it could
also,
even,
if we consider
no, I was gonna say it could also be that he doesn't even have to bribe Pengaloth Clendinoldo. He just stumbles upon Narcosta Rondo, and then he deems himself the king, and he's like, oh, like there was an elven princess and an elven king here. What if I fudge like the ledger, or fudge like the genealogy table, and put myself in here as the king here?
Yeah.
And that way he writes himself into the histories when
you're
and he proves himself point, like, I'm a nobody elf, and I was the king of the Noldor for such a long time. I
Right.
did my kingly duties too.
This is a far more fun episode than I thought it was going to be.
alternative,
Because I
right.
didn't know there were
I-
this many fucking ways to look at this shit. This is
I-
amazing.
What if there is a real baby out of Testo, died during, Turin Gate, that whole thing,
Turin Gate. I love it.
but
Turin
never was
Bridge.
confirmed
Turin
dead.
Bridge. Okay, confirmed dead. Got it.
Yeah, during Bridge Gate.
Bridge Gate.
Was never like confirmed dead.
Do you understand real quick? Do you understand you're writing my fucking like episode notes for me when you do stuff like that? Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. So in the Noldor, they're starting to lose hope. Círdan is like, what if we'll just let people think maybe he's still alive, even though in our hearts we know that baby is super dead. And then Círdan is like, yo, I have this ward. I have this young ward of who knows where origins. Here he is, the boy himself, the lost baby. Kind of like Anastasia.
Yeah.
The movie Anastasia, like it's an Anastasia situation.
Mm-hmm.
The plausible deniability.
I don't know
Or
if I know that movie. Can you sing anything from it?
Life is a road, and I want to keep starting at the beginning.
or it could be time travel.
Time travel. Okay. I'm going to need you to expound upon that, please.
Okay. So we know that there's magic, obviously, in
Mhm.
Aman or in Artha. There's magic. There's like this idea of fate being a tapestry. If things can be woven, they can also be unwoven. Time can be fucked around with pretty easily. So really, Gil-galad could be someone, a character from the future, filling in, like, fixing the mess of the Noldor. So it could be Elladan or Elrohir. It could be, like someone random. It could even be Elrond from the future. It could be Celebrian from the future. We don't know. The possibilities endless when it comes to time, when we bring time travel into the loop.
When are you writing this fan fiction of time traveling Tolkien Gil-galad?
God.
I'll be the first one to buy it.
To buy it. Well, I think that maybe one of these days. I feel like I could write a decent fan fiction based on most of these at some point.
I'm pretty sure Emperor Palpatine had something to say about that.
Do it.
So what do you guys think? Which theories do you veto / do you have any to add?
I really feel like I should have written a lot of this down.
Okay. Here.
I like the
will.
Iconaro and Andraste one.
Okay, you know
Yes,
what?
yes,
Let
agreed.
me erase this mess, and then we'll make a very nice list, a legible list. again.
That's helpful. Thank you, Brie. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I forget that not everybody's brain is as fucked up as mine. Like I can look at what.
Oh no, mine is. I just don't retain information without like some sort of visual. A lot of times.
That makes sense.
Oh, I can.
I'm audio
I can-
and visual.
I can decipher it. It's more of I can't see it on the screen. because I'm on my
Okay.
phone. That's the only reason.
Oh, fair.
Okay, so first theory that we approve of.
Andres and
Andres,
Iconado.
Andres,
Hey,
and
David, what's Andres and Konya?
Egg.
Andres.
Andrese?
I
Andres.
always call him Egg.
Thank you.
Ignore.
And
Ike. Call him
Ike.
Ike. Ike.
Yeah, Ike.
Let me.
Eisenhower. Holy shit. Is he Eisenhower?
I was gonna go worse and say Ike Turner, but
Yeah.
Oh my god. Let me
Our
see
boy
if I
Iconado
can.
is not
I
that
know,
bad.
I know. But
Is
that's
there
just
a
when I hear
way?
Ike, that's who I think of.
Is there a
I'm
way
gonna
to
take a
make
shot for that, David.
on my phone like not mirror it? Because I know
Oh,
like.
it's not mirrored right now.
Okay, so you guys can read it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andres and Egg. What other theories do we like?
I do like the Count of Monte Cristo one. Just
yeah.
random ass elf. You
Yes.
like
Son
Stumble
of
upon
some
Narcos
random
Redondo.
guy.
Not just a random ass elf, like a random ass elf who like was a thrall that like wasn't trusted by the other elves once he
That is
like
one that I
left.
like.
Like once he like escaped the being the thraldom of Morgoth. That makes so much. Listen, I just fucking watched the Count of Monte Cristo, which by the way, the
new one or the old one?
The 2020, the 2002 version, which by the way
Okay.
broke my very fucking soul. My partner told me to watch it, and I was like, okay, cool. This is a tangent, Bree. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take over for just a second.
I have ADHD. My Adderall has worn off. Tangent away.
Awesome. So my partner and I were talking about I sent a GIF for those who don't know on like socials. I call myself Gifatar for just because I think it's funny and because I make GIFs. And also Anatar is beautiful. So I sent this like GIF of Leo DiCaprio from Man in the Iron Mask, where it's Philippe be pretending to be Louis. And he stands up and does the continue thing, and she was like, "Oh my god, I love Alexander Dumas adaptations." She goes, "Have you seen Count of Monte Cristo?" No, there's like 1,000 of those. Of course, I haven't seen them all. She goes, "Well, I haven't seen any technically." And she was like, "You should go look at the one with Guy Pearson and Jim Caviezel." She's like, "Oh, also Henry Cavill's in it." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll look it up."
That Jim Caviezel is in that. What the hell?
Yeah, Jesus plays the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, Mr. He's a tangent.
That man loves to get whipped, by the way, which is so weird to me.
If you want to hear weird things about Jim Caviezel, finish your tale because I have a tangent for you.
Yes, I love tangents. Okay, so I was watching. Like I looked up where it was streaming, and like everywhere that it said it was streaming was not. It was all behind a paywall, and like I'm a little bit past paying for every fucking single movie I want to like watch one time. Although, having seen this, but which by the way, I went to the library, and I rented it from the library.
Nice.
Support your local library, please.
Yes.
So I put it in and I watched it, and when fucking who played Albus Dumbledore the first time? Richard Harris. When Richard Harris fucking is on his deathbed, and like for those who don't know, Count of Monte Cristo, Richard Harris's character, I can't remember his name. He's playing a priest, right? He's dying in Jim Caviezel's hands or arms, and Jim Caviezel says, or I'm sorry, Richard Harris says something about God. Jim Caviezel's character, Dantes, says, "I don't believe in God," and Richard Harris says, "Doesn't matter. He believes in you." It fucking broke my soul.
Really?
I have like dealt with belief and disbelief my entire fucking life, but like hearing that was like I felt my heart break inside. And then there was like 2 or 3 other times where it happened. So I told my partner, I was like, "Are you trying to kill me?" Because like it's like the most beautiful fucking line, acted so perfectly, and a movie that's already incredible. Like it's one of my favorite films now.
You gotta read the book. It's so good.
Here's the problem with reading for me. It takes me so fucking long.
That makes sense.
So my partner's helping me with that.
Can you do audiobooks?
And I do audiobooks, yeah.
It's on audiobook.
I'm sure there's great audiobooks of that.
Yeah, I also feel like, all right, listen. I read a lot of
somebody talking about
quote unquote read a lot of the Tolkien Legendarium through audiobook. I just also feel like I don't retain as much when I do audiobook. I personally retain the most when I read and hear. Like I need my eyes and ears to retain shit. for
That makes
whatever
sense.
reason. But I don't
Someone
know
was just
why I went on
talking
this
about
tangent.
because you're talking
We were
about
talking about
Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, that's right. The elf, the random elf.
Yeah. Made up backstory. Jim
Right.
Caviezel is an insane, QAnon conspiracy theorist now.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Yes, he's so.
I mean, that tracks. That
he's
tracks.
bonkers.
That
Because what was that?
tracks.
Because what was that movie he did in 2023?
Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
But even
Hmm.
before Sound of Freedom, he was like super off the deep end. Like, you know how he was on, I think he was on Person of Interest.
Well,
They
I mean,
hated working with him because he
Mel
was
Gibson.
so deranged and like racist, and like he would bring up like maybe Hitler made some points. Crazy.
Oh no,
There's a
no.
really good podcast called the QAA podcast, formerly known as the QAnon Anonymous podcast. They track far right conspiracy theories, but they have a couple episodes on Jim Caviezel that are like really good. Highly recommend.
Damn.
But yeah,
I mean,
no,
like I get it because like Mel Gibson's fucking crazy as shit
yeah,
too.
yeah. I
And
feel
like
like
Mel
once
Gibson,
you
like
know,
basically, not even basically, Mel Gibson handpicked Jim Caviezel to be
yeah,
his Jesus. So that
struck by
tracks.
lightning like at least once working as Jesus on that film.
I mean, like, but regardless, the film, the 2002 version of Kind of Monte Cristo is
It is
absolutely
so good.
phenomenal.
It's
Like
a great film.
it like there were three separate parts where like I had to pause the film and just cry because it's so fucking good.
I'm so glad you got to experience that movie for the first time. It is one of my favorite books and one of my I love Dumas. Like he's great.
Yeah. I actually
could
got
go on-
his.
I don't know French. I said Dumas earlier, and I feel like an asshole
No,
now.
it's okay.
That's
No,
all right.
you're pronouncing him as he should be pronounced. I minored in French, so it's not like you're pronouncing it correctly in English as a loan word. Don't even
No,
get
no,
it.
no. It's Dumas though. I will say Dumas from now on.
You can be Alexandre Dumas if you really want
Alexandre
to.
Dumas. I'm
Alexandre Dumas.
sure. Listen, when my partner was texting me that, I just read Alexander Dumas, and I'm sure in
what-
her mind
I mean,
she
it's
was
the-
saying Alexander Dumas or Alexandre. How did you say Alexandre?
Alexandre.
Thank you, Alexandre Dumas.
Don't even worry about. Pas
Yeah,
de
well,
problème.
she'll see this episode and be like, "Oh, okay, so you just don't understand language." No,
No,
No, I
it's,
do not.
that's his name in English, though. His name
Yeah.
is Alexander Dumas in English because, like, that's
how you pronounce it. It's
that's
like
how you pronounce it in English.
we don't call like technically I mean Julius Caesar is not how
Yeah,
you pronounce his name. It would be more like Julius Kaiser would be his name, but we don't pronounce it that because we we have the English pronunciations of it. Same
We
with
have
like
different phonemes. Yeah, don't even worry about it.
you guys are talking about language, and I've been listening to a friend's podcast, Teaching with Magic, and she just had Corey Olson on. She had oh god, I'm gonna feel terrible for not remembering names. Anyways, well, not just like these are older episodes that I like just listened to. And they were talking about languages and stuff, and excuse me. And like all this is making me like want to go take Anglo-Saxon. So you guys are like scratching my itch explaining language to me. So thank you, because like I've had like I've been listening to her stuff a lot, mostly because she deals with like dyslexic and ADHD kids, and like as a I got diagnosed like 2 years ago with ADHD. Undiagnosed ADHD gang right here. Like it has touched my heart to listen to her podcast. So but I just lost my train of thought. Speaking of ADHD.
Yep.
No, but so we'll circle back to the Kind of Monte Crystal elf that we were talking about earlier.
So it could be, so I have here son of some fucking guy, thrall, adopted
some fucking guy.
Right.
Rusingon baby ? Gay agenda.
You said his name. You have to drink.
No, I said Rusingon. I didn't say Rusandol. Now I did.
Oh shit! You fucking found a loophole.
Got him. Okay, so we have
Fair enough.
Andret and Egg, son of some fucking guy. What other theories would be like? I think there was, you guys mentioned.
The Lestinore plant.
Ah, okay. What do you mean by this?
because he primarily goes by a Sindarin name.
So
And then he would help
me.
facilitate further only using the Sindarin tongue
Mm-hmm.
as
I
time
think
went
it does
on.
that and more that as one of the younger generations of Noldor and like Noldor and Dore, like that becomes the lingua franca of
True.
Middle Earth because of
But
like,
is it Northern Sindar or is it Southern Sindar that he's speaking? Because where does he use an or does he use an M?
Which could also
David, real quick, I got a tangent. Every time someone talks about Kurufim, or I'm sorry, Kurufin, and we talk about like Koine versus Sindar, and they're saying, I'm sorry, Sindarin, and they say like, it's Kurufinwe became Kurufin. I'm like, I don't think they understand that like it actually is Kurufim.
Yeah, he called himself Kurufim,
and you're the one who taught me that.
Kurufim till Cormo Caligorm. The
Mm-hmm.
M suffix is the product of the Northern Sindarin tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So does he?
Is he Celebrimbor's brother?
Oh, okay. We'll add that to the list. So there's him being maybe Sindar, maybe a subset of that is Elurin. Could be.
I
like that one too.
I actually really, really like the Elurin theory. I really like that. Mostly because it makes at least one of them not die.
Yeah, not die, and it kind of rounds that out nicely. And it could be that both of them didn't die, but one of them chose mortality, and the other one chose selfhood.
Yeah.
So that could be it. I think also if we go to like, why isn't he speaking Kenyan?
So
can we back up a second? Can we back up a second, Bree?
Yeah, back it up.
As far as like the immortality thing versus mortality, Beren and Luthien get it because of like the things they do up front, right? With Morgoth, and then Beren dies, saving like Thingol, which by the way, fuck Ella Thingol.
Nicola.
God.
And then Luthien goes and like convinces Mandos, who then goes and tells like Eru, and Eru changes shit for them. Anyways, as far as anyone else getting that kind of grace, like it doesn't happen until Earendil and Elwing.
Right. But if they give Elwing that grace, I would have to imagine they would give the twins that grace. Alternatively,
I don't think they would.
Yeah, I don't think they would for the choice.
I don't think they would
because I think the choice of them being able to choose is a byproduct of specifically the Earendil and Elwing's children because of what they do.
Yeah, because the choice only happens with Beren and Luthien, and then from Earendil and Elwing down. Everyone in between does not get a choice. They just are what they are.
Except for Tor, because he replaces.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
he replaces Luthien in the whole set number
so
or whatever.
Sorry, I think the theology of it is so stupid.
Listen, I agree. It is very convoluted.
It doesn't make any sense. And I was talking to Lee about this. I was like, there's so many things that like would obviously happen, but that the Valar never planned for. Like they're like, whoa, divorce? Wanting to get remarried? We could never.
Who would have thought?
Elves falling in love with humans? What can we do about it? We never saw hello.
Bree, that's a whole fucking episode, and I actually really like that you brought that up.
Put a pin in that
because that is those couple of things you just brought up are some really, really cool topics to dive into. Like,
I would love to dive into them because I've been thinking about
actually, I'd love to have a conversation about like just title it like of the things that Valar have no fucking clue what the fuck is going on about, or however I would word it, whatever. Wow, I've had some drinks.
Drink some water.
This is clear liquid. Does this work?
No, water. Agua.
Of the shit that Valar don't give a fuck to know about. What were we talking about?
I do like the Finduilas theory too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because again, Artanaro has no kids. So that would imply if we're taking at face value the whole elves don't have sex unless they're married, that means no one would have seen Artanaro like in the nude, which could could be that it potentially could be Finduilas.
Mm-hmm. And the people who know are keeping it on the DL. for the greater good.
The poetry of like the whole spear thing I like. It also reminds me of like something I just recently found out about, like this theory about one of the samurai generals that I like. That
Mhm.
there's a theory that he might have been a woman,
Oh, I love
as
that.
far as like, because they were very like devout Buddhist monk type of daimyo warlord, and so their name is Kenshin Uesugi. And so there's been a theory that's been proposed in like the 20th century or 21st century about that it's likely that they were a woman, based off of some of the accounts of either a Portuguese or a Dutch person describing them, as well as like how they dressed and how they were only in the presence of women, like in the chambers and area for women.
Oh, I love that. That's cool.
See,
You're gonna
this
have to send
is
me more about that. I'm really interested.
this is something that would have been really interesting to have had Tolkien alive for,
Yeah.
because like he didn't shy away from queer people, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Like
that's
he
why I know there's papers that have not been published or like categorized or even looked
Yeah.
at yet.
There's
Tolkien Society,
boxes
if
upon
you're
boxes
listening
upon
to this,
boxes.
I will do it for free. Let me archive that shit.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing, is like Tolkien didn't shy away from queer creators and queer writers and all that. He embraced them and like built them up. He talks about them in his letters. And I think
Yeah.
that like some of
Like
these
Mary Renault.
conversations,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that some of these conversations we have when we talk about this stuff, Tolkien would have really enjoyed like at least a perspective, you know,
Right.
because like we all, everyone's gonna do that. Like everyone who fucking is not queer or like cool with the queer community is gonna be like, well, he was a Catholic, so that's what he was. No, but that's not who he fucking was. Like the dude,
Also,
like if you think about Tolkien in the modern society, you have to think about Qui-Gon Jinn. Tolkien was the fucking Qui-Gon Jinn of his time. He knew the rules.
sentence uttered ever in like those words in that order.
I know. Well, but seriously, like he fucking like he knew like what was expected of him, and also didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That makes sense.
because the other thing is like I was talking earlier about Queer Lodgings podcast. They were talking about Beowulf and how Beowulf is a fucking inherently queer
Yes,
fucking
it is
story.
Mm.
I have read Beowulf a whole of one fucking time after I read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and the first time I tried the Silmarillion. I didn't catch any of that because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just like, I'm gonna try to consume what Tolkien fucking was like inspired by, and not like analyze it and not like absorb it. But now I've heard from another podcast, like it's a super fucking queer story. I'm like, well, now I have to fucking know, because like that was really influential for Tolkien. So all you listen, I'm gonna PSA right now. Any fucking people who are right wing as fuck, if you like have a fucking, if you can't stand same sex relationships, if you don't understand that gender is fucking fluid, if you fucking have a problem with skin color, if you have a problem when people are disabled, if you don't like fucking women having rights, yeah, rights, you motherfuckers. If you don't like women having rights, then get the fuck off of my page. Get the fuck off of my podcast. This is
I
not
feel
for
like
you. We are
I feel like
welcoming of everybody except for you.
Yep. I feel like at this
Yeah.
point though,
Oh,
they
yeah.
would have already been turned off by our queer episode.
That has not come out yet. That's why I
But
want
it
to
will
do
come
this.
out before this one.
It will. But also,
So
I kind of just want to be
yeah.
as
Oh,
aggressive
yeah.
against them as possible, because fuck them.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
A true bestie.
Well, because what you're saying, like W.H. Alden, and then also I forget the student.
That's who it was. Thank you, David.
Mary Renault.
W.H. Alden, he was good friends with, and then also there's the. Did you say their name, Bree?
Mary Renault.
Yeah,
Renault.
that was
Renault.
his
The
student,
lesbian
right?
author. Yeah,
Yes.
his joke.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think also like you know, and even if, okay, his personal ideas about Catholicism aside, that doesn't necessarily reflect like what would be in his work. So, for instance,
Yes.
Catholicism, very against suicide. However, the characters in the Silmarillion who do commit suicide are treated very like sympathetically.
Yeah.
You know, or
Yes.
like
Yes.
it's against Catholicism, but Nienor and Turin, they're still treated with compassion, right?
Yeah.
So like you don't know about this, David, because you weren't on the episode, but we talked about Turin and Beleg on my queer episode,
Oh
and
yeah.
how like one, it's clearly a reference to Achilles and Patroclus, but also like them being like a tragic story, like it would fit into like kind of this like Catholic idea of like I am sympathetic towards gay people, but like I foresee that their story will always end in tragedy, just by the nature of what the world is. Similarly to how Nienor and Turin relationship ends in tragedy, or how a lot of the elf slash human relationships end in tragedy, like all of these like various romantic relationships that are like deviant from like the expected norm, whether by accident or on purpose, they all end in tragedy, but they're still treated with such empathy. So to me, like I think that like unquestionably Beleg and Turin are like
You just
unquestionably intended to be gay. They're my we talked about this on my episode. They're like they're
yeah.
my he was so crazy for that. Like he
Yes.
was
No,
so crazy for that.
because I remember, I think it was sometime early on in Threads last year, you were posting about that and how, like, in the Lays of Balerion and the Narn,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far
They
as
kissed
like
multiple times.
yeah, and I
They
was like, that's absolutely correct, and it's kind of, I think people think because of Tolkien's Catholicism, and he was a very staunch Catholic, but at the same time, like, how many, like, it gets to the point of like, do you guys not know that many Catholics? Because I can name several different Marxist Catholics or Marxian
Not
Catholics,
just that though, David.
and I
like
can also name several like traditional Catholics, and even in the middle, there's also Catholics who love the Catholicism and like their spirituality and religion, but at the same time
David,
are
not
very
just that.
universalist in their beliefs. So
Yeah, and not just that, like the change decade to decade of any religion. Like no religion is the same over like a decade apart. Like a human being is not the same a decade apart.
yeah.
Yeah, you
and
have
also,
things in you that you grew up with, but I'm sorry, Brie, I'm talking over you.
no, it's okay. I was gonna say also Tolkien was like a classicist, and again, like he's clearly the kind of person who could like okay, Fëanor is like his meow meow, like that's his baby. Fëanor is Tolkien's baby, but he
Yeah.
commits like atrocities. Like
Oh yeah.
people think that like because Tolkien is Catholic, the morality of his work and all of his characters, they have to be like the same as traditional Catholic morals. But his favorite characters are deeply flawed by traditional Catholic standards.
Tolkien thought he was Turin. He related the most to Turin
Oh
Turambar.
God, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I'm gonna cry. I'm wearing my Turin shirt right now. Like,
Oh, it's in his letters. It's in his letters. He talks
I need
about
to
how
read
he
that.
relates so closely to Turin. Yeah. Which
That's
is actually
so
like every time I
sad.
make fun of
Like,
Turin, like I feel bad because
of
Tolkien
like being
felt
like
so
the
strongly for him.
survivor and feeling like if I'm the one who survived out of everyone, then I'm the bad luck.
No,
Ugh,
so Tolkien felt that he
I'm
was
emotional.
probably closest to Turin, but he wanted to be Beren.
Who doesn't want to be Beren?
Yep, exactly.
Because he also says Faramir. He says Faramir at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah.
No. He talks about he talks about how Faramir came out of nowhere when he was writing Faramir. Oh god damn it! The amount of times I've just said that character, and that's part of the drinking.
Oh my god, I forgot.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
four
gonna have
drinks.
to take a tea
It's
break
like
in a
four
sec.
fucking yeah. That character, Boromir's brother, he said comes out of he didn't even expect that character to show up in his story.
No, I thought in the letter, I might be remembering it incorrectly. I thought there was a letter where he says that, like, as far as every book, that he doesn't identify the most with Aragorn, as far as in just the Lord of the Rings, but that he actually identifies more, or he sees himself more as Faramir.
Oh yeah. There is a letter about that. Yeah,
That makes sense to me because Faramir is like very much a scholar. He's not
You said
really
it
in it
again.
for the glory of war. Ah, sorry. Denethor's son. Finduilas the Gondor's
Thor's
son.
youngest son, Eowyn's husband.
Right, right.
Sweet baby boy. Leader of the Rangers of Ithilien. My lad. He yeah, he's like very much a scholar. Like he wants to be like Gandalf's little apprentice. He's a
The
soft
wizard's
boy.
pupil.
I love
Yeah, and
him.
that's
He's a
that's
good boy.
yeah.
And he's
That's one of the
also very
coolest
gender
parts.
non-conforming,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Not Prancing Pony. Queer Lodgings episodes. They got, I think it's 3
Do they do
episodes
an
where they
episode
talk
on
about
Denethor's son?
no. They do 3 episodes of how Faramir has bi-wife energy. And
Yeah.
they are such fucking phenomenal episodes. They are
I need to
they
listen to that.
oh my god, they're so good. They use real life experience that they've all not they've all because I don't know them. I can't like speak for personally. I feel like I have a giant bubble in my chest that needs to burst
Are you
through.
okay?
This is what happens when you drink and speak and breathe very heavily.
Okay, like your heart's good, like you're not having
No, I'm not having a heart attack.
I was like, don't have a heart attack.
No.
Okay.
If I'm gonna do that, it's gonna be on TikTok Live. You will all watch me die. No, I'm kidding. No,
About that.
I'm sorry. It's so dark. I don't mean that whatsoever. There was a sentence here that was happening.
By wife energy.
Thank you. So it's Queer Lodgings podcast. They have 3 episodes about Faramir having bi-wife energy, which means so 3 episodes. I'm gonna cut this right the fuck here. They have 3 episodes about Faramir having bi-wife energy. So basically, like Faramir is the street character, but his wife is the bi one, and he loves her so much, he will do whatever he can to support her. Like that is the bi-wife energy they're talking about. Like I feel like I'm not explaining it very well.
No, I know what bi-wife energy is. There's a whole song about it.
Yes, and they use that song. Yes, they use that song. I'm just really bad at explaining things that I've heard like only a couple times.
Yeah, I get it. I personally believe that Faramir himself is queer. I think that like he's very
and that they bring that up. Yeah,
and
they bring that
up. I also think that like one of my favorite headcanons was for a long time was Faramir being trans femme. But that's just my
they bring that up.
Oh hey, I really need okay, I follow them on Blue Sky. I just haven't gotten around to listening to the podcast yet.
It's like they're 3 might be a couple episodes ago, but like it was like 3 of their most recent episodes.
Okay. I need to catch up. I need
so
to
they initially talk about like how Faramir God damn it.
Okay, no, you said we were pausing it.
No, I didn't. We only paused to tell the rules. After that, it's on.
No, because you said you're like, I'm gonna cut this right here. So I assumed.
Oh no, that's because I was so drunk. I didn't want to sound like an idiot, but now I have to.
Pues.
Yeah. It's actually funnier when this happens.
Yeah.
I tend to get more like views when this shit happens, but I don't know fucking why. But anyways, fuck my ADHD.
We were talking about the latest 3 episodes of
Thank you. Bi-wife energy. Okay. So they start with like the thesis that like Faramir is the straight character who presents slightly feminine. And Eowyn is the character, I'm sorry, is the bi character who presents really masculine. And like how the whole like I think it's 3 episodes. The whole arc of their episodes is like how much they complement each other. And oh my, it's honestly like one of the most beautiful interpretations I've heard of them. Because you know how most people go like, oh, Eowyn turned real fast and loved Faramir and like just accepted her fate.
No, that's not it. They're both rejecting gender.
Thank you. Yes. But also they're rejecting gender, but also accepting themselves for who they are.
Because, and we talked about this on my queer episode, Eowyn is somebody who, part of the reason why she admires Aragorn so much isn't because she's in love with him, it's because she sees and she's like, I want that. I don't want to be constrained by gender. Yes. You know, I want to be able to travel the world with my homies and like save the day. Like, an
Yeah.
Aragorn to me is somebody who's very like gender agnostic. Like, you could
Mm-hmm.
change Aragorn could be a woman, it would not change the story at all,
Yeah.
right? He's very gender neutral to me, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that Eowyn sees that and like that's who she wants to be, right? But she can't because of
Agreed.
how the Rohirrim view gender and gender roles. And I think that when she meets Faramir, after like she's able to like, you know, have her like cool moments, you know, live out her life as Durhelm for a while. And it says like when Faramir looked like I forget what passage, but she's both Durnhelm and Eowyn at the same time, which I think
That's
is
when Mary that's
yeah,
when
he
Mary
sees
looks up and sees her facing off against the Witch King before she says, "I am no
exquisite.
man."
It's exquisitely written.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
by the end of it, she's finally able to understand who she is outside of these
Mm-hmm.
strict gender norms, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
With, you know, Boromir's little brother. He's able to see,
Thank
like,
you
and
so much for
explore.
doing
And
that.
the fact that you have Eowyn, who's assigned female at birth, and Faramir, who is presumably assigned male at birth, you have both of these characters at the end coming together and arriving at the same gender presentation, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't love war. We love protecting the people we love. But both of us, what we want to do is heal and we want to garden, which is also what Samwise wants to do. And just
Mm-hmm.
like this idea of like, now that the war is over, they can both transcend gender, right? There's not these ideas of like these very regressive ideas of like roles and gender roles and like I can I can go on about this all day. I've been
See,
roasting.
And Bree, this is one of the things that is the most beautiful things about Tolkien is that it's queer as fuck, but it's accessibly queer as fuck
Yeah.
because
Mm.
it's not like overtly like because most people will not take overt queerness and accept it. Like we know this as a
Yeah.
society, like the quote unquote norm doesn't accept that, but when it
Yeah.
is like subverted the way you just brought it up, people will accept that, which is and I wish the Houses of the fucking Healing was in the theatrical
Oh,
trailer or
I
cut
know.
of the
I
film
love the Houses of
because
Healing.
exactly what you talked about is what is portrayed, and Peter Jackson actually did a really good job of that.
Oh,
You really did, and I it's just it's a beautiful fucking thing when the idea of the constraints of gender that suffocate people get portrayed correctly on screen. And for all Peter Jackson's faults, he did a really fucking good job of capturing that. How
yeah.
like there are women who don't want to have to like live in this like, well, this is what society says women are. And there are men who do not want to live in, well, you have to be this. There is
Mm-hmm.
an in between, and Awen and Faramir meet right in the middle,
There was like,
and it's the
yeah,
fucking most beautiful thing in the
it's,
world. And I wish that it was like much more mainstream, because there are so many of us who live right in the middle, and
mm-hmm.
like don't conform one way or the other, or
Yeah,
conform one way and the other.
yeah. You
You
can
know
move through the boundaries, which I think is
exactly.
also why, to me, and we're getting way off track, but this is also why, to me, Elrond is a very appealing character because he is
Mhm.
like the ultimate, like, liminal, like, borderlands of a person, right? He represents all these different lines, all these different peoples.
Mhm.
He builds his homely house is like accepting of various, like, people of all walks of life and various races, you know? He's a man, he's an Eldar, he's a Maiar, you know, he's Sindar, he's Noldorin, like he's something
Mhm.
entirely new also. Sorry, we're getting off track.
He's Feanorian by
Okay.
adoption.
He's Feanorian. He's all these things, and he's like the kindest character, and his like
Mm-hmm.
big, like ambitious goal. Like he could have been king of the Noldor after Gil-galad died, but instead he's like,
Bree,
I'm gonna just make things real cozy. What?
yeah. No, my partner sent me something was like exactly what you're saying, and but it's got that fucking like manipulative music in it, so like your fucking heartstrings are fucking tugged real fucking hard. But like it's exactly what you were saying. And you're not wrong whatsoever, because like he could have totally fucking turned into a villain. And he didn't.
Not even a villain, just being someone ambitious. But his ambition is, I want to heal people, which
Yeah.
is
And learn.
what Faramir and Eowyn want to do, and I want to create a home for everyone. And I think that that's why he is the character who survives kind of the longest, with the exception of Círdan, and most successfully. Like, in spite of everything he goes through, he still consistently makes the choice to be kind, because he is like, and this is why I don't like people who think that like Tolkien would be against like, you know, multiculturalism or whatever, like really piss me off, because the character who is like really presented as the best person in the Legendarium is the most multicultural character who creates the most multicultural space in Middle Earth. Sorry, we're getting
And
way
his story touches first, second, and third age. He is the only character besides Galadriel to touch every single fucking age. And this is different from Galadriel. He's the only one whose story affects first, second,
Yeah,
third age.
because I love Galadriel, but you know, she spent a lot of time kind of, you know, fucking off and doing her own thing.
Well, she doesn't do shit in the first age.
Well, we don't. If she was studying, she went to like. We also don't know her full story. Right?
Listen. I don't mean to sound disparaging, but like, and also because of like the like we were talking earlier, because of like the authors and everything. But
yeah, we don't have her story.
All right. Well, for now, Almian, the Noldor squad will return. But Almian, everyone, thank you for joining us. That's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at @the_Neej. Namarie.